Hey everyone, happy Monday. Happy Monday. Hey Margie. I figure Margie's here. It's time to start, right? Hey y'all. So good to see you. So good to see you. Okay, let me know. Margie's here. Margie, let me know if you can hear me. Make sure that it is actually working since we have had an issue or two with StreamYard along the way. Thank you, Margie. Thank you so much for your support. You're going to make me cry today, aren't you? It means the world to me. I want to make sure first that you can hear me. We are live. And we'll take just a minute to say loud and clear. Awesome. Thank you, Margie. Boy, I have missed you. I have missed our Monday jump starts together. Might just be you and me, Margie, but that's okay. We'll have some fun anyway. Hope you've been keeping busy. I've been a little busy. And it's all good. I think we've got at least somebody else here, but nobody's jumped into the chat yet. But I see that there's some other people watching. So anyway, I know there's not, who knows? Glennis is here. Hi, Glennis. Hi. I know you're not feeling great, so thank you for being here. I know you love what we're going to do today, and I also know you're not feeling great. So thank you for grabbing your bootstraps and coming along. Did you have just a little too much stampede yesterday, Glennis? Was that the issue? Oh, man. It feels like it's been a month of Sundays since we've been here for a jump start. I know it hasn't been that long, but it feels like it. So if somebody's watching on the replay or comes in later and starts at the beginning just to catch up, feeling great is not needed. That's right. Just be here. We'll make each other feel good. I just want to say we've missed a couple of weeks of Monday Jumpstart, and I have truly missed your company. Angelica, hi from Spain. Welcome. I think it's your first time here, isn't it, Angelica? At least first time live with us. So happy that you're here. Welcome. We took 2 weeks off of Monday Jumpstart. We're typically here every Monday at this time. And for those that might be watching on the replay or coming in a little later, I had 2 deaths in my family within 10 days. And that's why we had 2 weeks off of Monday Jumpstart. And I am just really happy to be back. Really happy to be back here with you all and excited to get some sleep so I feel crafty again. It's hard to feel like doing anything artsy or crafty when you're sleep deprived. So I've had 2 nights of sleep and starting to feel like myself again. So Angelica, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Today, we are going to do something with watercolor. So if you have some watercolor paints, so I have a pile of things here, and we're not going to use all these things. Luke, is it you? The pockets is? What? Watching Sylvia. Oh. Yeah. Hi, Sylvia watching. Sylvia's probably busy, but watching. That's okay. We're just glad that you're watching, Sylvia. Glad that you're here. Luke, feline family. That is Margie, Angelica. Margie, do you know Angelica from elsewhere? Angelica, do you already know Margie? That's pretty awesome if you do. Awesome. Okay. Is this one of the Angelicas that I know from Linda's group? If it is, that is really awesome. I can't ever keep track of what people's YouTube names are to make sure that I've got the right person. So we're going to use some watercolor paint today. And this is just to show you that it doesn't really matter what kind of watercolor paint you have. Grab any kind. And you really aren't going to need anything. Awesome. Oh, welcome, Angelica. I am so happy to see you. I miss being able to go to Linda's lives as well. That's where I met Margie. And wow, you look awesome. Yeah, see, that's where I met Margie and Angelica and several others. It was one of my very first intros into this world was Linda's group. And I love Linda. She's awesome. She's really amazing. So it doesn't matter. I've got lots of different watercolors. Some of them are really inexpensive. Most of them are really inexpensive. I don't have any that are super, super expensive. But whether it's a big palette like that or whether it's a little palette like this that, you know, I've used a lot, there's just a little left, doesn't even matter. This one is metallic accents. And so you could even use metallic. And I'm going to set that aside for a minute because a good way to use metallic is on black or gray paper. And this is just a pack of 36. I think I got this off Amazon. Most of these like just came from Amazon. Just 36 different little ones. A lot of them look metallic. It doesn't even look like I've dug into that one yet. So put those aside for a minute. I'm going to use this one just because it has 2 layers on it. And it's got a lot of different colors. So you can see that there's a lot of greens and blues and, you know, yellows and oranges, but they're all different shades. This kind of snaps in here and stores like this. So it's, you know, one big thing. It's really, really old. In fact, I think this might have been one that I got from my grandfather. Either that or it's one that I bought at an estate sale because it is really, really old. But it's got a lot of variety of color. And I want to... I did play with them one time. You can see that I've been in them, but got some other colors on top of them that maybe I should scrape out. But I'm going to go ahead and spritz them to start getting them start soften up the watercolors because these have been sitting here for a while. And I know there's a couple of metallics in there too. And then I'm just going to set them aside for a second, and we're going to talk about paper because they'll be ready to go. So these are metallics. And maybe if we have time, I'll pull out the metallics because I do have some black paper. And, you know, you can watercolor on anything, but sometimes your certain paints won't show up. Hi, Laura. Oh, Laura, you made my day. I came home. It's been a long 2 weeks, and I came home, and there was a box on my door from Laura. And I opened it, and it was the sweetest happy mail. And Laura, I held off. I told you I held off opening it because I was so brain dead that I just couldn't even get into things, and I really wanted to enjoy it. I actually just filmed it. I recorded it right before Jumpstart. I recorded it, so I'm going to get that up on the YouTube page. Anyone ever use Twinkling H2O? No. Twinkling water? Palettes are so clean. Sylvia's listening but cannot chat. I'm sorry, Sylvia. It might be because she has it on her TV, and so you can't chat on the TV, but she's listening. Thank you for being here, Sylvia. Wait, so yeah, you will get to see. I just recorded it, so I'll put it up there. I need to know now, what is twinkling water? Oh, twinkling watercolors? Okay, no, I have not. I might need to see what those are. I might have to call you on video so that you can show me what those are, Margie, because now I feel like I need to know. You know, you can use watercolor paper from any watercolor pad. This is a smaller one. This is an 8.5 by 11. It's just watercolor paper. You can use any of it. What I'm going to use today is just my practice journal. This is just a mixed media journal. Just a book of mixed media. And we've done some other watercolor things, you know, just practice things in this. These are watercolor as well. It's just a practice journal. And I even did some drawing in it, but I'm going to just use practice journal today. I like keeping all these things in my practice journal. It also makes me feel less pressure because I'm not painting a big fancy painting. I'm doing something in the practice journal that takes the pressure off, because it doesn't matter whether you're just swatching or painting lines or whatever it is. It's all valid. It's all useful for your soul to art, you know, so it doesn't have to be painting some big specific painting. This I pulled out to show you. This is watercolor paper, but it's gray. So there are some colors that would show up better than others on these, and definitely metallics. And this is also mixed media paper, which is perfect for watercolor as well. It's super thick and heavy, and it's black. And so I think all colors of metallics would show up on this, because I have used metallic pencils on that quite a bit. So metallic watercolors should work really nicely. But today I'm going to use just white watercolor paper, and I taped off my page. This is just a regular page out of the book. That's all. This is just green painter's tape, artist tape, and I just taped a border. Sometimes I really like the border. It makes it feel finished to me, and often I can get pretty sloppy. And so if I make a border, it kind of makes it feel a little bit more finished when I'm done. So thank you, Laura. I do appreciate it. Not water. It's called H2Os. H2Os or H2OS? D, sing. Hello. Hola. Lots of Spanish speakers. I understand Spanish. I don't speak so well. There's a whole story to that. But sloppy, what? No, not at all. D, would you like for us to call you D, or would you like to tell us your first name that we can call you? It's Angelica's first time here, even though we know Angelica. It's her first time being on a live. And then the crafting for the rest of us, that is Laura. The Luke, that is Margie. HROPKUS, the plural S. Oh, H2O plus the plural S, so H2Os. Okay, twinkling H2Os. Okay, hang on, Margie, because I'm writing that down. I'm going to look it up. Twinkling H2Os. I've never heard of it. Can't believe you've never told me about it before. No worries. I understand weird keyboard stuff because mine does it all the time. I like to say it's not my fingers. It's just the keyboard's fault. But, twinkling H2Os. I'm definitely going to look it up. Have you guys all seen twinkling H2Os? That's okay, Angelica. It is hard to keep up with all the things that we want to see and do. Okay, I've been kind of stalling a minute, giving you a chance to get a piece of watercolor paper together and your watercolor paints. These seem really, really dry. Haven't been touched in a very long time. So I am just going to get them pretty saturated so they can sit and start softening up a bit while we're prepping for them. Okay, so you will need a black permanent marker of any kind. I will use black, but if I couldn't find my black, I was prepared to use blue. So just a dark permanent marker. Maybe I'll use this one. It doesn't matter. Any kind of permanent marker. If you've got a Sharpie, I pulled out 4 black Sharpies, and they were all just about dead. So I need to buy a whole new pack of black Sharpies. They're very old. Not like you, Margie. You can do this with things other than watercolor. I'm going to show you how to do it with watercolor today, but you could also do it with colored pencil. We have done that in the past. And this is a neurographic art. By raise of hand, how many of you are familiar with neurographic art? We have done neurographic art in different forms on Jumpstart. It's been a while. I know it's one of Glynis's favorites. I also enjoy it, especially anybody else have just way too many slices on their plates? And I say plates because sometimes there's just too many plates on your table, and then there's too many slices on the plates, and the brain is just going every which way and being pulled, and there's just a lot of things and even a lot of stress. And, sometimes you just need to be able to calm your brain and bring it down a notch. And that's not always so easy to do. Awesome. Heard of it? Never done it. Great. Laura, Laura, do you have a piece of watercolor paper, or mine's mixed media paper, just a piece of heavy duty paper and a black marker. And then you can dig for watercolors if you don't have them handy, or colored pencils or colored markers. Any of those will work. Okay. But I would love to have you do this with us, because I know you've got a lot of slices on your plates as well. And this is one of those things that allows you to create art at the same time, decompress your brain, and it really, really does work. So Okay, so first thing we're going to do is take our permanent marker. We need permanent marker if we're using watercolor because we're going to be putting water on it. And so we don't want this to smear. What kind of watercolor? This is just an old palette, D. It is called Pelican. I think I got this from my grandpa. It's really old. And anything will work. Here's others that I have used. Any kind of watercolor. It literally does not matter. Any kind of watercolor that you have will work. So that's really old. So I was spritzing it to let it start to soften up because they're old and dry. So brain is so decompressed, it's a pancake. Okay, so we're going to start with a piece of either watercolor paper or mine is mixed media paper, anything like that. It could be in a book. It can be in a bound book. Mine is a spiral book, and this is just my practice book. And I love to do things like this in my practice book. Dashel, that's a pretty name. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to ask, I know that Angelica is in Spain. Dashel, where are you? What country are you in? While she's answering, we are going to start in a corner, like the bottom left corner. If you wanted to start in another corner, it wouldn't. Sends Margie maple syrup. For the pancakes, I love pancakes. I don't want them squished flat though, Margie. I would like them a little bit fluffy, and I want some butter on them, and then I love maple syrup. Bilingual. So are you in the United States and bilingual? Or are you in another country and also bilingual? Because it's obvious to me that you speak Spanish and English very well. Use this kind of watercolor palette back at school, like 1985 or so. Angelica, thank you for being in my same age group. I think that these are actually probably that old. They probably are. Okay, so we're going to take our permanent marker. We're going to start in one corner. And what we're going to do is make some lines going out like this. They do not have to be straight. Don't worry about them being straight. We are just making, I'm going to try to take them all the way to my border. I shouldn't have stopped there. Should have gone right over the edge of the border, but that works. Okay. So I don't know. What does that look like? Just a burst of lines. I don't know what else to call it. Just make a burst of lines coming out. You can make them as spaced far apart or as close together as you would like. Don't think too hard about it, because now I'm going, well, if I'd moved that one over a little bit, I could have put one more in there. But you know what? I can still put one more in there. There you go. It just doesn't even matter. It really doesn't even matter. A fan. Thank you. Oh, you have the same palette? Awesome. You're in Pennsylvania, Dashel. Harrisburg. Awesome. Jill is in Pennsylvania. And I don't think Jill's going to be here live today, but she's often with us live, and she's always on watching on the replay. Jill is a part of Happy Paper People. If you haven't joined Happy Paper People Facebook group, please do join us there. We always like everybody to post what you made on Jumpstart. Post it in the Facebook group. It is a private group, and we keep it private so that it's a safe place for everybody to post and ask questions. There is so much sharing and learning and helping that goes on among the Happy Paper People Facebook group. It is the safest place to fall with art on Facebook. It is awesome. So please do join if you haven't already. And you can wait till we're done, because I do want you to participate in this. It's just really great for your psyche. And in the description box below, there is a link to the Facebook group. So a fan. So draw a fan. Yeah, okay, just draw a fan. Then you're going to come back and go in the opposite way. You're going to draw some lines across this. And these do not need to be straight. In fact, I rather like them when you get the finished product. Excuse me, got a little frog in my throat there. I rather like the finished product better on this when they aren't straight. So get yourself some wavy lines going across here. Okay. And let's see, I think I have room for one more up there. There we go. Okay. And now that fan kind of sort of looks like a spider web. It's the last group of crafting group I joined and the only one I post in. It's thank you, Laura. I love that you do too. Okay. So for now, that's it with your permanent marker, although we will need it again. Okay. So now we're going to get to our watercolors. All right, Angelica, are yours as dried out as mine? They're old. They haven't been used a lot. That's why I thought I would use them. It's been a while. I remember them. I've only used them a time or two, and I remember them being really great colors. So I thought they would be good to use, but they are pretty dry. So are yours as dry as mine, or have you been using them along the way? Okay, I grabbed a handful of brushes, and honestly, any brush that you have will do. I'm not a trained artist, and so I can't tell you what these types of brushes are. I don't really know, exactly the difference between all of them, but I can tell you that any of them will work. Any of them will work. So this kind of seems like a pretty good size. It's maybe a little big for me because I do tend to get a little bit sloppy. So this one or this one seems pretty good for me today. Maybe even that one, or maybe I'll change as we get to a bigger space. So I'm just going to start with this one. All right, so I've got some water. I've got some water. Whoops, I'm tipped over my cups that are all here ready to go when we're going to do some alcohol ink. Got some new things. I am so excited to just be able to get my brain back into the things that we've been wanting to do, because I've got, we got to do pastels, and we need to do alcohol ink, and we did need to do all kinds of things. So, all right, so I'm going to try to keep this in frame and also keep my water close enough. I'll just put the water over here by this and get my brush wet. And so all I'm going to do is pick a color to start with. And I'm going to come down here and, oh, geez, I don't even know. Let me start with, this looks like it might be teal. Ooh, that looks like teal too. But I've already got into this one, so I am not going to mix them. And see, my brain is just tied in knots because of everything that's been going on in the last 2 weeks, and is still going on this week. We have the final funeral this Friday. So I still have a lot going on this week, and my brain is really wrapped up around all this stuff. And so I start looking at, what color, it doesn't even matter. And this is why this is so good. It really does help you be able to relax your brain and distract it from some of those things in the world that cause us all the stress and anxiety. It really does help you be able to do that. Need more water. Thank you, Margie. I am really happy to be back and looking forward to some more time. This is never fun. However, I will say that I will have more time freed for happy paper people, not caring for some family members. So in that regard, I'm excited to be able to bring some of that time back to happy paper people. So all I'm going to do is grab a color and start painting. And you can paint every square a different color, I think, so I don't have to think about color and really think too hard. I'm picking a color, and I'm going to do this row, and I'm going to pick a color for the next row, and I'm going to pick a color for the next row. And I'll just wash my brush off in between. I'm going to keep it really simple. The idea of neurographic art, so if those of you who have never done neurographic art before, our brains have neural pathways that are actual literal ridges in our brain. And those neural pathways are dug into our brain by repetition. And so things that we do over and over, things that we say to ourselves over and over, things that we do, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, those things that are repeated dig these pathways, neural pathways in our brain. And that's how we get into habits. That's why sometimes it's so hard to break or change a habit, because there are literal pathways dug into our brains. And it's really easy for our brains to get, really wrapped up in things. And sometimes Well, those things are always the things that cause us anxiety and stress. And what we need to learn to do is find ways to change those neural pathways to get our brain away from the stress so that we can look at things differently and not feel all the anxiety and stress that those things in life bring us, because those cause us not only mental, I will say illness, because anything that's distressing me is an illness, and physical illness. They, all kinds of ailments. Guaranteed, when you've been really stressed before, you found, your tight neck, and then you got a headache, and, all those kinds of things. So neurographic art is a way of, I always talk about it as tricking our own brain. And that's what we're doing. And that's okay. It's not a negative thing to trick our brain. It is actually a very positive thing. So it's a way of distracting our brain from what it might be focused on or thinking about at the time, to make it do something else. I don't want to think too hard, but I want, what do I want? I want a little lighter color. I want a pink. I don't have a pink. Don't have a pink? Well, that's okay. Let's go for this teal then. Do love teal. It's a way of distracting. Neurographic art is a way of distracting our brain and freeing it from those things of stress and tension, and allowing it to go a different place than it normally does, which helps us to change those neural pathways. And, I do meditation and all kinds of things. This is as good as any meditation. It does the same thing, distracting our brain. And you can put something on if you want to listen to something like a book, or if you want to learn a new skill while you're doing some neurographic art, and your brain will be able to absorb it better because it's distracted from the other stresses and tensions that have been in there. And also, if you do neurographic art and then you then go to learn a new skill, or watch a class, or a tutorial or something, your brain is more open to receiving it and better able to, bring it in and keep it in your brain, because you don't have the intensity of those other stresses locking your brain up when you're trying to focus on something and you just can't focus. You just can't. Your brain just has too many things going on. Something like this can free up your brain, unlock it a bit, so that you can then focus on something else. And literally, it's just ways of tricking our own brains into doing what we want, because our brains do what we tell them to do. And that's why they say, don't say negative things to yourself, your negative talk, because that negative talk is what your brain hears. Your brain is literally a functioning organ. And when whatever it is you say, your brain looks around the world to find evidence to support what you are saying, to validate that it is true, to tell you that you are right. So if you want to be something, if you want to develop a skill, if you want to be a certain kind of person, tell yourself every day that this is what you are. This is the skill that you know. This is the type of person you are, whatever it is, because your brain will then look for evidence to support that and help you be that. And that's how you grow and develop and change and learn and all those things. So, and, I don't like to spend time on the negative. You guys know that I'm always don't be talking negative, because your brain takes that and does the exact same thing. If that's what you tell yourself is all the negative things, then your brain is going to look for evidence to support that as well and prove to you that you are right. So a lot of us have that negativity that we already have to overcome from life, from other people in our life, even from childhood, even from adulthood. So I feel like that had some other colors in it and it made it kind of dull, but it's okay. It's going to work. It's actually a bright orange, and I don't think it's showing on camera as an orange. It looks like it's coming across as a mustard yellow, but it's okay, because in the end, it's all gonna serve its purpose. So tell your brain the things that you want to be, that you want to feel, that you want to know, and let your brain focus on those. Let me give you a point of example that I know every one of you can relate to. And my paths are chasms. That's awesome. Yours are as dry as mine? Cool. They should work just fine, right? Oh, hang on one moment. I want to catch up on a seashell. It does kind of look like a seashell, better than a spider web. I do too. Thank you. It is now a seashell. It is now a seashell because I don't like spiders. Spiders are my least favorite thing in the world. We're going to have a chat about this topic. Yes, Laura. Yes, you've got some experience in that. You know what I'm saying is true. And, you know, we need it. We all need it. I don't care how positive you are. I'm always known as the most positive person. I still need it. It just doesn't even matter. A beautiful, rich queen. See, Margie? See, that is true. And look at that. You already got the nickname as our queen because it's true. It is. It is. All right, Dashiell, I hope you're able to do this along the way. I might put some little more over the top of that because I can tell that there was some dirty black or something on the top of it. And maybe I want it a little brighter. But until then, I'm going to move on to my next color. And I'm going to pick a green. So I want to give you this example. So if it doesn't make sense to you and you're thinking, how does that work? I'm not sure I believe all that. Let me give you this example. Have you ever purchased a new car or thought about purchasing a car, a vehicle? I always say car, meaning all vehicles. And you go look at them and you're like, this is the coolest car. This is what I want to get. And you just haven't seen, I haven't seen very many of them out. I don't, it's not all around the place. You buy this car and you drive it home, and on the way home, everywhere you turn, you see that vehicle. You're like, I had no idea there were this many out. Now I'm seeing them everywhere. Why are they suddenly everywhere? Why? Some of you already know why. Because you made your brain aware of this vehicle. You said, this is a vehicle that I like. This is something I want to focus on. This is something I want in my life. And your brain said, okay, if that's what you want, I am going to go find it for you. And I am going to give you evidence of how awesome it is. And I am going to prove to you that what you're saying is true, that it's a great vehicle. Now, everywhere you turn, your brain is literally seeing all of that vehicle that are on the road, in the parking lots, everywhere you turn. Before, you had no awareness of it, but your brain is, while you're not even aware of it, your brain is looking for all the things in the world to support your desire for this particular vehicle. It's showing you, look how many are out there. Must be a great car. Lots of people have it. Look how cool it is. Look how cute it is driving down the road. Look at that color. That is really pretty. Tell me that that's happened to some of you. It's happened to me multiple times. And I remember when it first happened, I didn't understand. I didn't know, the what's and whys of, how and why that was happening. And I now know that that is my brain taking what I told it. You know what? I'm questioning whether that was a waterproof or a permanent marker that I grabbed. It was a Tombow. Maybe it wasn't because some of this black is smearing. Oh, well, we can fix that too. We're not going to worry about it because we're not done with this. We're not done with this. So don't even worry about that. So red Volkswagen Golf 4s. Yeah. You saw them everywhere. In fact, my boss had one. I didn't even know. Friend had a Jeep, and now it's all I see, Jeep people, right? Exactly. This happened to me after I bought my first car. I suddenly saw them everywhere, right? Yeah. And you didn't see them everywhere before. And now all of a sudden, you're like, what is up with that? This car is everywhere. That is exactly how this works, how your brain works. Your brain will go out into the world and find evidence to prove you right. That is why it is so critical what we say to ourselves and about ourselves. because our brain will prove us right. And you ever notice that certain people are like, I am the unluckiest person on the earth. And if anything bad can happen, it's going to happen. And this, and then this, and then this, and then this. Why does that keep happening? Because that's what they've told their brain. And their brain, your brain wants to prove you right. I mean, it does. Your brain is the most powerful organ in your body. And it is here to support you. And you are the most important thing to your brain. You're keeping it alive. So it is going to do everything in its power to prove you right and be, so important to you. So yeah, whatever you tell it, it's going to prove. So if you keep saying, I am a klutz, I fall all the time, I'm sorry, but you're going to keep falling because your brain is going to find ways to prove you right. And if you say, it doesn't matter that I have neuropathy in my feet and I can't feel the bottoms of them, speaking from personal experience, doesn't matter that they're numb. I can still walk straight and even and feel where I'm going, and I'm going to have great balance. I'm not going to let that, affect my ability to do things. Your brain will find ways to support that as well and prove you right. So just be very aware of what you're saying to yourself. And if you're ever around me and you say negative things about yourself, I'll give you a dirty look. I will also tell you, that's not true. And I'll ask you to say something nice about yourself. I really will. That's kind of what I do because I just think it is so important. We got enough in this world hitting us from every side in a negative manner without us adding to it and making our own life more difficult. So we can make our own life a little better, a little easier by telling ourselves positive things that our brain can support. So I need some help here, I see. And maybe I should have asked you before. I could tell on the top of these that there had been not necessarily mixing of color, but I could see some black or dark on the tops of some of them. How do you get that off? Because I feel like I probably should have taken that off before I started to get more pure color. Do you just get it wet and then take a paper towel or something and rub it to get that off? Or do you guys have some other good suggestion for me? Because I feel like I wouldn't necessarily need to be going back and cleaning up some of these, getting, instead of having, let's call it Halloween orange. I have Halloween orange, which is black and orange. And I really just wanted a nice bright orange. And that's because there was black in my paint from something previous. So how do you remove that? Or do you just paint with it until you get that off the top and get down to the purer color? Then you're looking for ducks. Yeah, right? My cat is my brain. Wet a soft thing and wipe, like you said. Okay, you were typing at the same time. That's because we share a brain, Margie. I know. I'm grateful for your brain. Okay, so just wet a paper towel and then wipe the top to get that black off. I'm going to have to do that. Would a baby wipe work? Because I would have to get up and go wipe or get a paper towel and get it wet. But there's always a baby wipe somewhere near my desk, right? If a baby wipe would work, I will do that next time on all the colors that I didn't use. So the ones that I did use are now clean because I got all the part with the black off and got down to some pure color. Trying to do another layer. Might take it an extra minute to dry by doing that, but at least it's pure color, and that makes me happy. And probably I use a wet kitchen towel. Oh, but carefully, and the kitchen towel is easy to wash. Okay, so I always have art towels around, and they're just pure cotton, flour sack cloths. That would be great. Okay, that's a great idea because then it adds color to those. I love wiping things with color up with those towels. And when they get totally full, then I throw them in the laundry and they get all stained, although the watercolor will probably just come out, huh? But they get all stained and colorful. And then when they get completely used and just completely used up and thin, then I can tear them up and use them in art. And they're all full of color through the years. takes a long time to get one. I probably have too many of them going, so one doesn't get enough, or all of the paint, all the wipe up, all the water, all the everything. I do like using those towels. Most retreats, I gave one of those towels to everybody because they're just really great. I get them at Walmart. They're like in a pack of, I don't know, it might be a pack of 7 for like $10 or 10 for $7, something like that. But they're just really, really good. Flour sack cloths, my art towels. I have several of them in my room and always wiping something with them. Okay, I'm just going back and giving myself some darker, pure color. I can still see my lines. You can still see my lines of my shell like that underneath it. Yeah, why call it a spider web if I don't care for spiders? I know they serve a purpose, and I'm happy to let them serve their purpose outside of my home and outside of my being. I don't need to kill them unless they get in my space. Okay. All right. So once you've got all of your spaces filled in with water, or with watercolor, or see, this can be done. Neurographic art is the style. It doesn't mean it has to be watercolor. So you can do this. We have done it in the past with colored pencils, with colored markers, with acrylic paint. You can use anything of color, anything to put color down on your paper. Okay, so it does not have to be watercolor. But once you've got all your space filled in, then we need this to dry. So while we're chatting, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a little this, and instead of waiting for it to dry, help it dry. It would already be dried if I hadn't gone back and put a whole nother layer on top of each one. And that's okay. Hey, Patty, so glad to see you. Patty, I have an envelope sitting on my counter with your name on it, and it's been sitting there for 3 weeks. I want you to know. I know I didn't announce in the group or say anything, so a lot of people didn't know that we've had 2 deaths in the family in 10 days. And that's why we haven't had Jumpstart for a couple of weeks. And that's why your envelope is still sitting on the counter. But it is there. And because I want you to have that page with the moving ballerina. I think it was your granddaughter, you said, is in ballet. And I want you to have that page for her journal. So it is coming. Is it bad that I'm so excited to see what you thought of the rack? Oh, no, not at all. I'll just tell you, Laura, loved it. Loved every single little teeny tiny bit. And you packed a lot in that small box. You really did. I was impressed with your packing skills. And I thank you again. I'm just feeling this, and it feels dry. Okay, good enough. Coloring books and colored pencils, same thing. Yes, if you just want to grab a coloring book and some colored pencils and sit down and color, and please don't worry about the lines and the perfection, but it will function the same way as neurographic art. It is just a form of neurographic art. So coloring is, yeah, don't think of coloring as a child's thing. Think of that as one of the best things you can do for your wrapped up, stressed, anxiety-ridden brain. Because, you know, we got enough of that coming from the world. All right, so now that we've got this, we're going to go back and get a permanent marker. And now I'm questioning, are Tombows water-based? It says acid-free. I thought they were permanent. Are they not? Does anybody know? Is Tombow? If it's acid-free, I feel like it should be permanent. The other thing, let's see. Permanent marker. This one says permanent. Is it big enough? Nope. I want one with a thicker end. This is a Kelly Creates large brush. Let's see. Non-toxic, acid-free. Doesn't say if it's permanent or not. I feel like it should be. Tombows are water-based. Thanks, Margie. I should have asked that before. Okay, so now we're going to go back here, and it doesn't matter where you start. You can go over your lines because these lines tend to get covered with watercolor or pencil or acrylic, whatever you're using, they tend to get covered. So you can go over these lines and you can do them little by little. But what we're going to do is everywhere that you see a V. So I'm going to show you with this. If I go over this line and I went over this line, there's a V right here. I'm going to turn that V into a U. Kind of the easiest way to explain it. Just round off that corner. There's a V right here. Think of the V as any sharp corner. It doesn't have to be any particular angle. It isn't exactly squared, but anywhere there is a V, meaning a sharp corner, round it off and turn it into a U, a soft corner. Okay, that's all we're doing there. So I'm going to, I'm just going to go over the lines so that we can see them, and I'm going to round off that corner. And I already rounded off that one. And I'm going to come down here and round off this one. Just round off every sharp corner. I'm going to round it off and make it a U instead of a V. And there's no right or wrong here, meaning you can make that a big U or a small U. It doesn't matter. You can thicken these lines. It actually turns out to be a pretty cool piece of art when you're all done. So you can thicken these lines that you're going over if you'd like to make them thicker. Let's see, I'm going to 2 corners right there. And I've got, and just, move your paper around or your book around if you're doing the practice book like I am. Anywhere that there is a corner with a V, we're just going to round it and turn it into a U. Some people like little tiny U's. Some people like great big U's. This is a pretty big piece of paper. So a big U in the end ends up looking pretty cool. I'm just going to get rid of all the sharp corners and make them rounded corners. See, neurographic art is so easy to do. And the purpose that it serves for you is so helpful. I love doing this because, are you like me? Well, when you're thinking about painting or thinking about doing stuff and you just don't have time, your brain can think of 15,000 things that you want to paint or do. And then you get a little time to do it and you sit down and you cannot think of what you want to paint or what you want to draw or what you want to do. You just can't, been so busy. Now my brain can't relax enough to think about something. So what do? It doesn't really matter what you do. It's the process of arting that is helpful for our brain and our soul. It's doing it that is helpful for our soul. So doing something like this, if you can't think of what it was you wanted to do because you had so many ideas before, then just sit down and do some type of neurographic art. I don't always feel like coloring in a coloring book because sometimes I feel like that is too specific and detailed and I cannot focus on those little tiny things. So doing something like this, that's neurographic art, I can do it with colored pencils. I can do it with crayons. I can do it with, paint. It doesn't matter. I don't have to have, you can carry colored pencils in a case and just a sketchbook or something with you. You don't have to have, paint and water and all the stuff, because anything that gives you color, anything with color, you can do neurographic art with. So if you sit down and start doing some neurographic art, it will help your brain relax and unwind. And then if you have more time, at that point, you'll probably be thinking about some of the things that you had already thought of that you wanted to do, and now you're a little more relaxed and able to do them. I even like to do this while I'm trying to watch a movie or something, because sometimes I tried to watch a movie yesterday with Doug because he was home for one day, and my brain was just so knotted with all the things that I was still working on for this week, and I just couldn't even focus on the movie. That's pretty sad. So I thought, well, if I had grabbed, a sketch pad and a pack of colored pencils, I could do some kind of neurographic art even while watching the movie and help my brain unwind so that I could actually enjoy the movie. Sharpies, yeah, but I told you I grabbed 4 Sharpies Sharpies, black Sharpies, and every one of them was just about dead. So not one of them would have been enough to do this whole thing, even to make the shell at the beginning. Sharpies and Micron and Sakuras, but always do a test on your substrate. Yes, and I do have some Microns and Sakuras here, but they're thin, and I wanted a thicker tip for this. It is a whole lot easier. So Vivian is... You can even use highlighters. Yeah, I do need new ones, Margie. I need to get myself a whole... Let's see, I think this was intended to go over here, so I'm going to do that. I need to get myself a whole new pack of just black Sharpies. I do have some other color Sharpies, so I don't need all those colors, but I do tend to go through the black ones more frequently than any other colors. So yeah, I do need to get another pack. All right. And so you see how this takes up a whole page, but because we did these large sections, it's really not going to take forever because they're not teeny tiny little sections to do. You also see how when you're doing this, there's a lot of different ways to get your base for neurographic art down. If you wanted to go into YouTube and search in our videos there in Happy Paper People, we've got some past jump starts where we did neurographic art in different manners. So there's different ways to get that base down. There's a couple different ways to even do it with watercolor, but doing it with just colored pencils or markers or whatever you want to use. There's a lot of different ways to go at this. And if you watch 3 or 4 different ways and you're like, okay, I get it now. I get what the purpose is. So it doesn't have to be any one particular way. Once you've watched several and you latch onto it, you'll know different ways that you can do it. And you'll say, okay, this is what I have available today. So this is how I'm going to do it. I don't always have watercolor available, especially if I'm carrying something with me. If we're traveling or I know I'm going to be gone for a while or even a day trip, I can carry a little container of colored pencils and a sketchbook. Can almost always have that available, but not necessarily watercolor. However, I will say, if you've got this little teeny tiny palette, I had it one time, with this teeny tiny watercolor book, you could take that with you anywhere. And I need to refill my paints in here. But that's enough paint to be able to do a neurographic art in a little teeny tiny version. So, no matter where you were, you could do something small, even if you can't carry, big supplies with you. I like always having some way to be able to, help my brain. So even if it's in my purse, I almost always have this in my purse because it doesn't take much space, but always a notebook and a pen, because you could sit down and do this with a notebook and a pen. And then what you do is just like scribble around circles, or you could do the lines like this and then do your corners. And so you've got open spaces. Then you can go back with your pen and doodle in each one of those spaces. So see, you don't even have to have color with you to be able to do neurographic art. I'm a rebel. I have a huge pack of Sharpies. I used purple. Perfect. That works. If I did it on an ATC, I could finish it. But on a large base like that, I would get so bored. Yeah. ATCs are great. That's why I like that little tiny book that I just showed you, because it's small enough that I feel like I actually do something, because sometimes when I start painting something big, and probably because I'm not a trained painter, I just get partway going and then I'm bored. And maybe if I felt like I had developed the skill better, that maybe that wouldn't happen. And I'm working on it. I'm working on that. I tell my brain I am working on learning painting skills and sketching skills, drawing skills. So that is cute. isn't it, Darish? Did I say that right? Now there's a tiny thing I could do, right? With a lot of imagination, at least in my funny brain, it reminds me a little bit of a medieval stain. Yes! Yes, Angelica. The black reminds me of the lead they used. Yes. What's the difference between this and Zentangles? Okay, we'll get to that. Angelica, I totally agree with you, especially when you do it formatted like this, drawing those lines. And you could draw them straight across if you wanted it to be more squared or just to look more like a window. Well, you know what? I've seen stained glass windows that are of all designs, so it doesn't matter if it comes out of a corner or straight up. But yes, that is exactly what it reminds me of too. And you could use different colors, you know, metallics or transparent watercolors that would have a little more see-through. Yeah, that's exactly. And see, what it does is relax your brain enough that your brain can see that. Because sometimes we just get so wound up in life. If I said, so take a marker and draw a stained glass window from a cathedral on the paper, I know the majority of you would look at me and go, because I would look at me and go, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. That is not positive talk for my brain, but I wouldn't even know where to start in doing that. But if you do neurographic art, you can end up with that look. Again, you're tricking your brain into doing something that it thinks it doesn't know how to do, because there's always a different approach to it, right? That's why it's good for neurographic art. Then you could put stickers. Yeah, you could do anything you want in these squares. Once they're done, you could doodle on top of these colors. You could do Zentangle in each one of these sections. Most of these are large enough that you could do a Zentangle pattern in each one. So the biggest difference, Laura, in neurographic art and Zentangle, and Zentangle does serve much the same purpose to your brain. Zentangle is specifically pattern. So when you and so the difference between doodle, Zentangle, and neurographic art, maybe we should separate it out like that. If you're doodling, you might come in here and you're randomly doodling whatever, and that's design, it's shape, but you're going to, randomly doodle whatever, wherever you want to. That's doodling. Zentangle is taking doodling and organizing it. So you're still doing a doodle, a little pattern. That's what most of our doodles are, is some kind of pattern. You're still doing the pattern. However, you are putting it in an organized fashion. So repeating it, repeating it throughout this thing, maybe along with other things, but maybe it's a row of this and then a row of that and a row of that, but it's a repeated pattern. There's some organization to the doodles. Does that make sense? So from random doodles to Zentangle, and then the neurographic art, pure neurographic art like this is just the color and the black lines and rounding off the corners. This is, it may not seem like a big deal or an important step, but one of the most important steps of it is this rounding off of the corners. So taking these square edges or square corners wherever lines meet and rounding those, turning the V's into the U's. That is one of the most important parts of neurographic art. So you could then take the neurographic art and you could doodle in it, or you could Zentangle in it. You could put stickers in it. You could leave it just as it is. When I finish doing all the black, the lines, and rounding the corners, that this is a finished piece of neurographic art. And if you want to take that and add to it, to Zentangle or doodle, you absolutely can. I mean, it's yours. Do with it what you want. But doing it to this point is what is called neurographic art. So they're all three different, yet they all three go together. you could actually have all three on the same thing. I might get this done and then look at it and go, oh, I think I'll doodle in some of these smaller ones, and I think I'll Zentangle in some of the larger ones. You know, you can do, and so now you've got neurographic art with both doodles and Zentangle in it. They're each a little different. However, they work together quite nicely. And when you're doing this, I think when I go over lines, I always end up not getting them straight. May not even be exactly where it was before, so then I widen it to cover that. But don't worry about getting them straight, because in the end, it's not necessarily a specific shell or spider web or whatever it is that you were thinking. In the end, it's all these parts and pieces like the stained glass window, that each one is an individual section. Each one stands alone. But just remember that the process of rounding the corners is one of the most important components of neurographic art to your brain. Zentangles have more specific line patterns. Yes, yes, exactly. Why is rounded corners so important? Because the rounded corners, when those I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain it without just saying a million words and then it being so confusing. Those neural pathways that are literally embedded in our brain, they're actual ditches in our brain. Like, you know, you go down the road and you see a big crack or a ditch, and you don't want to get your tire stuck in it because you might not be able to get out depending how deep it is. That's literally what the neural pathways are like in our brain. They are embedded in our brain. They make literal paths, literal little ditches in our brain. And so they are very, very specific as to what they are. And so our brain does this cut and dried thing, and that is like sharp corners. They are very, this one it ends here, this one starts here, you know, they meet here. This is a corner, this is where it is, this is how it is. And round is a much more soft shape. Like when you draw a circle and you look at the circle, it doesn't really have a start and an end and a maybe necessarily even a specific pathway because it's not a straight line. So by rounding the corners, it forces our brain to get out of the thought process of start to finish. This is the line, here's the direction, this is the road, you know, this is the thought pattern, you know, the way to go. It forces our brain to, in essence, soften up and be open to something new, to a changing that squared corner to the rounded, changing the neural pathway in the brain to veer off a little here or there, or to cover up and add something completely new to it. But it forces our brain to think different pattern and something that's not quite as sharp and stark as a line is. So again, it's I love things that I can use to trick my own brain, because sometimes my brain is stubborn and it wants to do what it's always known. And anything that I can use to trick my brain into changing or being open or, you know, learning or growing, I think that's better for me. So I love the tricks. The tricks to trick your own brain actually make it easier. And there's so many difficult things in life. I don't need anything more difficult. So if I can find a trick to helping my brain adjust, then I'm going to use it. No problem. The ginger cat lady is, and there's so many ways I could interpret that. The ginger cat lady. Is it ginger cats? Is it that your hair is ginger? Is your name Ginger? Now I have so many questions. Please introduce yourself. and tell us a little bit about you. I am so excited that we have so many people for the first time here today on Jumpstart. Ginger cats. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that you finally found us. We have so many cat lovers, animal lovers as a whole. This is a group of animal lovers for sure. But we definitely have a lot of cat lovers in our midst. The feline family. Yay, another cat lady. Pam, let's be Ginger Pam. Junk Journal, awesome. Awesome. We are doing neurographic art today with watercolor. Pam, have you done neurographic art before? And if not, you can always go back on the replay and hear about it, what it is all about and why and how to do it. This is just one form of doing it. We do have videos in Happy Paper People YouTube of other ways, other formats of neurographic art that we have done. Because you might find, some people find they really love watercolor. Okay, so I have found that I love playing with watercolor. And you already know that I'm not a trained artist, so I don't really know how to paint. But I love just getting the brush and the watercolor and playing with it. But then I get this brush full of paint and I don't know what to do with it. I'm learning, and I watch some tutorials. There's lots of people out there to teach. But sometimes I don't want to think so hard. I just want to be able to play. And so to be able to just put the brush in the watercolor and swatch or do neurographic art, I feel like I've just created a piece of art, which I have. It is neurographic art. And I didn't even have to know any painting techniques or watercolor techniques. So I don't have to be a watercolor artist or an acrylic artist or a colored pencil artist or any of the other things. This is something where you can create a piece of art without having a certain expertise, and the benefit to your brain, as we've just talked about. I won't go back over it all, but if you want to hear about it, go back and listen. So this is why every time we do it, I like to have a different way that we do it. So by the time you do it 3 or 4 or 5 times or watch the different ones, you can see different approaches to neurographic art and choose what you like best. Maybe you just don't even like getting a brush into paint, and you don't have to. This is the first time we've done it this way. We've used pens and markers and pencils and all kinds of things previously, but there is something for everyone, a manner of doing neurographic art that appeals to everyone, whether it's size or shape or media that you use. And but the benefit, the neurological benefit, is the same no matter which of those techniques or media you use. So don't even worry about how you prefer to do it. Just do it, because the benefit is there for sure. I feel more relaxed already just having done this. I do feel more relaxed. It's been a stressful week. I'll bet some of you have had a stressful week as well. Life tends to throw stuff at us. Got some other things that I really want to try, and maybe not necessarily on a Monday Jumpstart, but everything got put to the side over the last couple of weeks. So jumping back in, some things that I want to try. And I love experimenting with you guys so that you can see as well. And you always have ideas on how to experiment with things. So it'll be next week before I have time to get into any of that. But hoping to do some lives where we've got greater time to just experiment with some things and see what happens. Even thinking about, going live each day just for an hour or something. And while I'm working on whatever it is I'm working on, just to hang out with you guys and share a few moments of happiness to start our day. We will continue, though, with our organized Monday Jumpstart at noon Mountain Time. That will not change, but we'll maybe add some of these other things into it. Okay, and get down here to the bottom. I am almost done. I'll bet some of the rest of you, faster than me, are already finished. You know, and there's no speed requirement on this because the purpose, it's serving the purpose, whether you go fast or slow in this, the purpose that we've already talked about. So now I'm going to look over and just see if I missed any corners, any square corners that need to become round. And if I did, I can, oh, there's one right there. Just turn the V into a Y. I mean, a U, a Y. Well, it kind of is a Y. Turn the V into a U. Round off those square corners. Okay, so there's our neurographic art. And then if you have time and you wanted to, you could go back in each one of the sections and you could doodle or Zentangle or draw a little figure in each one. You could put a sticker in each one. You could write a little motivational saying in each one. I love opening a book and seeing motivational sayings. So this is why I like to tape off edges. I don't always do it, but I really like it when I do it. So I'm trying to do it more because when I finish, it looks more like an actual piece of art and I feel accomplished. Not only did it serve the neurological purpose, but I feel accomplished because it looks like a framed piece of art. Let's see. Oh, very, very stressful bunch of days since the 30th. My brother-in-law passed suddenly, so we had to jump on the. Oh, no, Florida. Oh, Pam, I can absolutely relate. We haven't had Jump Start for the last 2 weeks because we had 2 deaths in our family within 10 days. And one was on the 30th. So my thoughts and prayers are with you. I'll definitely keep you in my prayers. I know how that is. Kind of have a feel for what you're going through right now. And it isn't over when it's over. There's still family members to be taken care of and things to handle. And oh, it does look like a butterfly wing. Patty, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so sorry for your loss. And I'm so glad you took the time to stop in here. And if you're not familiar with neurographic art, please go back and watch the beginning where we talked about what neurographic art is and the purpose it serves and how. Because this is the exact kind of time under these kinds of stresses that it's extremely helpful. Let's see. Please just do what you're comfortable doing. Oh, thank you. You know what? I want to double check spelling. I really enjoy using people's names, real names, and getting them right. And we've got a bunch of new people today. And I'm going back just to double check here because I want to make sure in my mind, when you type your name in, I see that name in my brain. And so then every time I go to say your name, I see it in the brain. And I'm afraid I was seeing it wrong. Dashel. Okay. Now, you know what I'm going to relate that to, Dee? Glynis said this looked like a shell. This is Dashel. I'm now going to relate this to the day I met Dashel. It is Dashel. So I will remember your name. I do like remembering people's names and I want to remember it correctly. So Dashel, thank you for your consideration of time and energy and all of that. I do get energized spending time with you guys. I learn so much from you. The ideas that you guys, and on a normal Monday Jumpstart, this was a little different doing this neurographic art. Often I will bring one idea of a thing to make, and I only worry about bringing one idea. And by the time we leave here on a Monday, you will have 6 new ideas of how to do that or what to do with it from the people in chat. That is just how Happy Paper people work. Mine is not the sand, not the beach, but the shell. That's right. I love it. I love it. Oh, thank you, Ginger Pam. If Patty hangs out here, it must be a cool place. We love Patty. Patty. See, I always remember how to spell her name because I think of it as Patty. Because everybody else is just Patty. So she's my Patty. It really is a great place. The Facebook group is private. It is a safe place to land, a safe place to show art and things you're working on. And I will say this for those of you that are new, I have never in the 6 years had to delete a comment from anybody in the group because it was negative about somebody's post. That tells you something right there about the amazing people. And a lot of you already know Margie and Patty and people who are already here. They're absolutely representative of Happy Paper people. It's just an amazing, amazing group of people. It's my happy place and it's my safe place to be. So, getting through this 2 weeks, very tough 2 weeks, the first place I wanted to be is here with Happy Paper people. So mostly seen male versions of your name. Yes, Dashel, I have seen male versions of your name. Had to make a jingle as you get, yes. And by doing that though, see, okay, look, Dashel, you were already doing a form of neurographic art and didn't even know it. By making a jingle and by relating it to things, when you tell that to people, what you're giving them is a neural pathway in their brain to be able to remember your name. And you probably never thought of it in that way, but relating it to something so that when their brain, looks at you or thinks of you and wants to remember your name, it goes to that imprint. See, that's a verbal form of neurographic art. Amazing people. Oh, Margie. Well, it's easy to be an amazing leader when the group is full of amazing people. It's true. This is also less. Oh, you guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. Absolutely amazing. We've already spent our hour. I would love to spend more time, but I do have to get back to the planning of the family events this week. And so I will go do that. I do feel a little more relaxed and my brain feels a little more unwound. So I appreciate you for that. I thank you for that, the time and sharing the time with me today. I do want to do more watercolor things. And I do have already a list of some, watercolor things to do. So if you guys are interested in more watercolor, let me know because I want to do them and I hope you do too. And just get a practice book. It doesn't even matter what kind it is. It can be, something like this. This is just mixed media paper so that it doesn't matter, what I do on it. It'll handle it. Watercolor, if it handles watercolor, it'll handle anything. So any other mixed media or drawing or whatever it is. It could be spiral. It could be a regular, bound book with a spine. It doesn't even matter, but get a practice book that, in fact, I have another practice book that we made together, and I took watercolor paper and mixed media paper and even some craft paper and punched 3 holes, and we just put 3 rings in them. And that's nice because I can take it out of that to use it and then put it back in that 3 rings. And that's a really great practice book. And those things in a practice book, again, it's tricking your brain thinking, oh, this is just practice. And so your brain relaxes and enjoys it more than thinking this is an official piece of art. But here, because I did the border and I can just tear this page out, you could out of any book, just cut it out. If you wanted to use it as an actual piece of art, you could. But my brain didn't worry about making art. It was just having fun because it's a practice book. I will get through it and I will be okay. And I think of you guys on the most stressful moments. I think of you guys and your support. I know that you're here. I know that anytime I could turn on the camera and you'd be here, to keep me company. And I'll be back. It won't be this week. As I said, all the family's coming into town this week. Everything should be done by Saturday. Funeral's Friday. Family things end Saturday. And then next week, we'll start devoting a little more time to playing and experimenting and having some fun. So My thoughts and prayers are with you, Pam, and your family. And the rest of you, please post your things in the Facebook group. Post your creations. We love your creations, and it doesn't have to be what we did at Jumpstart. Post whatever you're working on. If you're a quilter or a sewer, a crocheter, a drawer, a writer, a junk journaler, we have all of those creative people in the group, and I love to see them all because I love doing so many different things, but also they're inspiring to me. Even if I'm working on one thing and I see your totally different project, I find it inspiring, just the creativity. So please do post. Don't hesitate to post. You can go look in there and see that there's all kinds of variety of things. And you can go look at Monday Jumpstarts if you want to see some of the past tutorials. There is a playlist in YouTube that says Monday Jumpstart that's got a bunch of those in it. And you can get all kinds of new things to put in your junk journals or different types of art to do. So thanks, everybody. Glennis, can't wait to see yours. I know you weren't chatting because you were busy painting. So we'll see y'all soon here. Have the rest of a great day. And thanks again for